I am going to read another short story from my collection Short Songs, which came out late last year. So, this is a story called Getting Ready, Preston and Miranda Going to a Show. I can't believe Trilly asked me why I always wear tight jeans. Why not? Miranda waved her hands around. Hello? See how wide my hips are? How big my butt is? Any pants I wear are going to be tight. You don't have wide hips. You've got curvy hips. Miranda looked at Preston with a pointed wince. Preston went to his dresser to look through his band shirts as he tried to process his girlfriend's dissatisfied expression. Throughout the years of dealing with partners, Preston knew it was folly to try to reassure a woman who was talking about how she thought some part of her body was too big, or too small, or too whatever. Such attempts would usually get an eye roll, if not an outright scoff. But he continued to try and reassure them in any case, because he felt there was a possibility that saying it would eventually sink in, that it might make a difference later on. Turning around, a flying t-shirt hit Preston in the face. Preston flung the shirt off his head to see several other shirts flying around. What the hell? I can't decide which shirt to wear, said Miranda as she held up a stack of band shirts. That's because you got 5 million band shirts, said Preston as he braced himself for more flying clothes. Yeah, but this is for a Front 242 show. What do you wear to an industrial show? Wear your alien sex fiend shirt. Miranda looked at him again with her "Are you kidding me" wince. God, no, too predictable. You want me to help you pick out a shirt? Yes, said Miranda as she flung a pile of shirts which hit him in the chest and then fell to the floor. Preston sorted through the shirts. Exploited, Blatz, Bratmobile, Germs. How about your germ shirt? Too crusty. Preston half-heartedly looked through Miranda's reject pile, convinced he would not be able to help Miranda select a proper shirt. Not that he resented such things or was irritated by it. He himself also fretted over band shirts and footwear when trying to choose the proper attire for a show or an event, even though he did not spend as much time and thought on it as Miranda usually did. As Miranda agonized over shirts, Preston wondered if he should wear his Dickies work pants or his black dress slacks. He was seriously considering the slacks since such a show usually meant a more slick fashion upgrade when it came to industrial show crowds, being as plenty of goths and more fashion-conscious alternative types would show up, with pressed clothes and new jackets, along with carefully coiffed hair and a stricter sense of an elegant yet down-with-the-street veneer that was as obvious as it was understated. He also wondered if he should stay true to his working-class aesthetic and wear the work pants. Preston retreated to the bathroom as Miranda rooted around her wardrobe. He double-checked his hair in the mirror. He had been parting on the left as he had been letting his hair grow out. He carefully combed it, trying to get the part just right as he wondered how he would style it when it got even longer. He was still getting used to long hair, even though his hair was not exactly very long at the moment. He had always shaved it or kept it in a buzz cut for years before he decided to let it go. Putting down the brush, he looked at his arms in the mirror, which had become much more muscular and sinewy since he started going to his recovery friend Lee's physical fitness boot camps. He also realized that they looked the way he did because he was still having trouble putting on weight. Turning his arms around, he looked at the old needle and thread tattoos from his earlier days, the faded gray lines that dotted his arms. He looked over the band names, the poorly drawn skulls and demons, and his biggest regret, a very amateur representation of a syringe. Back in his drug-soaked days, he had consented to let amateur tattoo artists poke away at him with sewing needles wrapped with thread and dipped in ink. The poor man's tattoo machine. Miranda had, several times, offered to pay for cover-up tattoos, to blot out the embarrassing artwork. He reassured her that he would be able to pay for the new work himself, once he decided what kind of tattoos he wanted to get. His reluctance to get new ink was because he regretted many of his old tattoos, and he wanted to make sure he didn't make the same mistake again. Not just the choices of artwork, but the quality of the work. Not only would he need to think carefully about what he wanted, he would also agonize over which artist he would work with, much in the way Miranda was fussing over her wardrobe. He could hear her grumbling as he noted a few more items of clothing getting launched over the bed. He marveled at the contrast between himself and Miranda. Even though he had plenty of small and medium tattoos, he didn't have nearly as many as Miranda, who was almost completely covered. He knew she had also gotten the spotty and poorly drawn needle and thread tattoos when she was living in San Francisco squats as a runaway teen. But later, when she had become a high-priced escort, she had professional tattoo artists cover up almost all of them. There was scarcely any skin on her that was not covered with tattoos or the multiple scars she had collected from the days of her wild youth. Scars from cutting herself and from all the club and bar fights. Her tattoos were exquisite, and Preston never failed to marvel at the quality of the work. Sharp lines, incredible shading, and just simply highly detailed work. He never tired of looking over her ink, even though it occasionally made her uncomfortable. He would always relent when she let him know one way or another that his steady gaze was bothering her. "Should I wear my Docs?" asked Miranda as she waved her pair of Doc Martens shoes through the bathroom doorway. "Of course. How could you ask such a thing?" "Boots or soles?" "Boots." Miranda retreated to the other end of the bedroom and started rooting around her footwear. He tugged at his shirt, watching how it wavered over his non-existent stomach. He was not completely sure why he was having trouble putting on weight. Surely his dog-walking job and the fitness boot camps were not helping him pack on more pounds. Looking to Miranda, she was built like a 50s pinup, with her curvy hips, her round breasts, which she had surgically enhanced during her escort days, and at 6 feet tall she had a few inches on him. Occasionally people would mention their altitudinal contrast. People would always glance in that direction when they were out in public. Miranda was more than used to it, but Preston was still trying to get accustomed to having a tall, artwork and scar-covered Amazon partner who attracted so much attention. It was different when they were at shows, since they were scene regulars. Most of the clubbers were used to seeing them around, but out in the civilian world it was a much different matter. Occasionally they would run into fans of her band, especially since she was, by far, the most recognizable member of the Dynamite Chicks. Random admirers would show up in the form of punks and heavy metal headbangers. But recently a lot of the fawning fans looked like college students or suburban types, a real sign of their growing popularity. He looked into the mirror, checking his carefully combed hair. He tousled his hair with his hands, wrecking all of his careful hairstyling, and went back into the bedroom. Miranda was sitting on the bed. She had taken her shirt off, or more likely had torn it off and flung it across the room. She was bent over, looking at something in her lap. She was bent so far over that her hair spilled off to her sides. She was muttering as she fiddled with whatever she had in her lap. Preston ran his eyes around the tattoos on her back, the striking artwork that was only interrupted by her overworked bra straps and occasional scars that bordered her ink. He was looking at one particular tattoo, a unique design that looked like a metal spine, snaking around various symbols and objects that ran up her right shoulder blade. He stopped staring in case she turned around. "Fuck it. I'm just going to wear my exploited shirt," said Preston as he brought out his Dickies work pants. Miranda sat up and turned around. "You can't be serious." "Why not?" "Wear your skinny puppy shirt, otherwise we'll clash." "Clash? Come on, we're just a couple of punks." Miranda stood up and walked right up to him, bumping him in the chest with her breasts. "No." Maybe I am, but you're definitely not. What the fuck are you talking about? She narrowed her eyes as she brought her nose right up to his nose. You're not just another punk. You're way more than that. Care to elaborate? Miranda brought her head back, shaking her voluminous hair out of her face and standing straight with hands on her hips. No. Preston shrugged as she turned to the full-length mirror by their stand-up dresser. As he was putting on his black Dickies work pants, his cell phone buzzed. He looked at his phone. Sky's coming with Colleen and Dandler. Miranda shot a look at Preston. Dandler? Why the hell would she be coming to the show? What? She's totes in the front 242. Miranda furrowed her brow and actually let out a low growl. I take it you're not fond of her. Miranda walked around the bed and picked up her slick black jeans. I don't like the way she talks to you, she said as she proceeded to struggle on her jeans. Preston held up his hands. What's wrong with the way she talks to me? We just talk about music. Miranda hopped up and down as she kept tugging her pants up, trying to get them around her hips. Okay, it's the way she looks at you. Preston tilted his head and raised an eyebrow. How does she look at me? Miranda stopped hopping up and down and let go of her still unbuttoned pants. It's obvious she's got a crush on you. Preston threw his hands up. She does not. We just like talking about music. Psh, dismissed Miranda as she resumed struggling with the top button of her jeans. She's a DJ at college. She knows everything about music. You know how much music nerds like to gab with each other. Psh, repeated Miranda right before she took in a deep breath to get her pants buttoned. And she's got a boyfriend. You know, the drummer from Hawking Chunks, the pretty boy. Miranda tossed her head, causing a great wave of black hair to fly across the bed. That doesn't mean she can't have a crush on you. Preston leaned towards Miranda and looked her in the eye. Okay, who do you have a crush on? Miranda stood straight with wide eyes. What? If having a partner doesn't disqualify having a crush on someone, who's your crush? You're my crush. I don't count, we're already going out. Can't I have a crush on my boyfriend? It doesn't count. Miranda leaned down on the bed. Maybe I have a crush on your friend Sky. No, you don't. You just want to fight her again. Psh, said Miranda as she stood up and took in another deep breath. I don't have a crush on these pants. They have a crush on me. Letting out a breath, she directed a steely gaze towards Preston. So who's your crush? Oh, please, we both know it's Susie Sue. That doesn't count. Everyone has a crush on her. Straight girls have a crush on her. Come on, it counts. Bet you have a crush on Dandler. Oh, please, pleaded Preston as Miranda retreated to the bathroom. Preston sat down on the bed and checked his messages. He looked over texts from Sky and Molly, both of them asking when they would be at the show. He quickly texted Molly to let her know that they would be on their way soon. He then looked down at the text from Sky. Miranda is giving me hell about Dandler being there, texted Preston. What the fuck for? Texted back Sky almost immediately. She thinks Dandler has a crush on me. She's going out with Pretty Boy, though. Preston could hear Sky's indignant voice as he read her text. She also accused me of having a crush on Dandler. She be one jelly bee. Preston let out a long sigh. I don't know if I should take her seriously or not. Yes. Yes, I should take her seriously, or yes, I should not take her seriously. Yes. Preston glanced at the open bathroom door. He could hear Miranda scraping a brush through her long mane of hair. He texted Sky again. Seriously, though, I don't know what to do about her accusations. I cannot tell if she's being serious or if she's just being a dork. There was a long pause. Sky was not texting back. Preston put down his phone and got his socks on. He went to the living room to retrieve his wallet and keys, making sure he had them so they could get out the door quickly once they were ready. His phone clicked. He looked at a new text from Sky. You know what she has been through. She has had to deal with all kinds of gross and smarmy and damaged men all of her life. She is not used to being with a good and trusting man. She is going to have to take some time getting used to that, because she has been used and abused and lied to by so many SOBs all of her life. Is she serious, or is she just screwing around? No doubt both. She's going to prod and test you and have her little suspicions. You just have to decide if you want to be patient enough to put up with that kind of bullshit while she works it out. His phone buzzed again. I know you are worth it. She still has to find out. Preston read and reread the text. He took in a deep breath as his skin stood on edge. He closed his eyes and allowed himself to breathe again. How did you ever get to be so wise? He texted Sky. School of Hard Knocks. You know that. Plus I have a good insight on crazy bitches. Miranda came out of the bathroom and stood in front of Preston, her long wavy hair hanging free all the way down to her waist. How's my hair look? Beautiful, as always, said Preston as he set down his phone. No, really, how does it look? She asked as she fanned out her hair with her hands. Like I said. Miranda walked up to him while letting out a frustrated growl. Tell me for real. Preston stood up as Miranda leaned into him. She bunched her hair in her hands and pressed it against his face. It's too bad I don't have a hair fetish, said Preston. I just want an honest opinion. Preston stuck his hands in Miranda's voluminous mane. What can I tell you? Your hair always looks good. I don't know how you fucking do it. He slid his hands through her hair. It never tangles, it never snarls, it's always perfectly wavy. You look like an enchanted goth queen with this hair. Miranda stood straight as she slid out from under her hair, as he slid out from under her hair. I wouldn't lie to you, babe, said Preston. Never. Psh, dismissed Miranda. I suppose you tell Sky her hair looks good, too. Not once in her entire lifetime has Sky ever asked me how her hair looks. Miranda stood in place, jutting her hip to one side and crossing her arms. Well, how does her hair look? You know how it looks. It's all fucked up. Her hair is all over the place with snarls and dreads. She looks like a demented devil woman most of the time. Psh, said Miranda as she turned around and rooted through her closet. Preston went into the bathroom to look himself over once again. He winced at his exploited shirt. He took it off and decided to relent to Miranda's wishes, walking back into the bedroom and digging through his generous pile of band shirts for a skinny puppy shirt. Looking at himself again, he determined that his skinny puppy shirt would look better with his black slacks rather than his Dickies work pants. Miranda touched up her makeup while he changed pants. Preston eventually ended up sitting in the living room, checking his texts and social media while Miranda put finishing touches on her looks. She appeared in the doorway, wearing her brand new black jeans which hugged her body. She was wearing her Chicks on Speed shirt. She had used her spiderweb clips to help tame her hair. We better leave now or I'm going to have to change my shirt again, said Miranda as she put on her leather jacket. Sure, said Preston. Miranda stood by the door, writing out a text as Preston put on his flight jacket. He stopped and took a long look at her as she concentrated on her phone. He felt flush. His skin stood on edge as he held in a shudder. He could barely fathom that he had such a partner, and he had to wonder how he ever got her. Anyways, that's Short Songs. That's Getting Ready from Short Songs. One of many short stories in here. Tales from the punk side. And as the back says, from gutter punks to living in squats to musicians finding unexpected commercial success. The character from the Rise and Fall Skywrite series are here to regale you with minor and major tales of both quiet and loud desperation from the fringe. Featuring a host of colorful characters ranging from artists to activists, sex workers to scholars, these stories will expose you to all the shadowy nooks and crannies of the concrete jungle, increasing your street cred and taking you for a thrilling walk on the wild side. that's my book. That's the story. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's see. It's January 7th. It is 7th, right? What day is it? I'm not sure. So that's it's. You can find the link to my book in my bios. My link tree is in there, and you can find a link to my books. Like I said, short stories. These feature supporting characters from my Skywrite series. I decided they developed to the point where they needed their own stories. That's one of my favorite stories in the book. And in any case, I hope you guys had fun. And let's see. Thanks again for joining me, and I will see you guys soon.